In the 1960s, there seldom was ever a more beloved childhood actor as Butch Patrick. He starred in many roles, such as the role of Eddie Munster in the hit series The Munsters, as well as many other roles in television and film all the way into the 1970s. Today, Butch is all grown up, and he's just purchased a haunted mansion in the Midwest in his boyhood home of Macon, Missouri. Butch Patrick would like to extend an invitation to ghost hunters as well as psychics from all parts of the United States to visit him. He will be holding events and lectures on the paranormal on the mansion grounds, as well as installing ghost cameras throughout the inside of the mansion to capture any ghost that may be walking about. Spend an evening with Butch Patrick at his haunted mansion in the Midwest. Stay tuned, more details are coming soon.
You know, surprisingly, for having such vivid memories of the Munster set and my stuff in, the professional stuff, I don't really have that many memories of this house. My sister has a lot more, and she's here with me, and she's refreshing my memory, but I do remember more of the outside of the house, because I spent a lot of time outdoors. But the breakfasts, Grandma would always cook breakfasts. I would see the school bus coming up the hill, running out to catch it out in front. I remember the carriage house quite a bit, and I remember going up and just sort of just exploring around. Yes, well actually I think I was here probably half a year, a school year and part of the summer. Yeah, I believe I was 14 years old, 13 to 14, whatever the 8th grade year would have been. I came back, and I would always spend summers with my grandma, and then this led into a school year where I met a lot of kids here. There's some friends that I still probably will be looking up that live locally. What I remember is going down to downtown and shooting pool at this little pool hall where it was 10 cents a rack, and they had pinball machines, and I spent a lot of time hanging out there, walking around, just small town. To me, small town was very exciting and very interesting because being from the city, this was sort of like the city mouse, country mouse thing. Well, I definitely would come by. I was here maybe 20 years ago when I'd be in the Midwest and driving by. I'd like to come by. Like everybody likes to, review their past and relive it and go knock on a door where they used to live. This particular house, especially because of Grandma, Grandma Greenstreet Marjorie lived in it. We had such memories, and I wasn't the only kid. A lot of her grandkids came back and visited her, and it was kind of like a, sort of like the family grandma's family house. Come back and visit Grandma, and that was kind of cool. But I don't really have a calling to come back here. But now that the house is available and it's haunted, I can see what needs to be done. A paranormal show and featuring paranormal activities from other people and stories, and I think it'll be fun. The house happens to be vacant and available. All of the pieces are there, it just needs to be solidified and moving forward with it, and that's what our plan is to do very quickly.
Well, I was born and raised in California, and when my mother married my stepfather, who was a ball player, I spent a great deal of time with my grandmother. And most of that time was spent here. I spent many summers here. From the time I was 6, 7. And I always loved to come and be here. I was very close with my grandmother. Huge inspiration in my life. Probably closer to her than any. And she's gone now, unfortunately. And coming back to this house is just bringing back so many memories. It's really emotional. It hasn't changed much at all. It's still Grandma's house. Yeah, I was down here a few times when I stayed here. I saw her several times, actually. I was never startled by it, which might sound really odd, but I always felt very safe in this house and very comforted in this house. So when I was sleeping downstairs in this house by myself, my grandmother was upstairs at the end of the hall, I would get up and use the bathroom, go in the kitchen, never turn on the light. There was never any sense of fear, or I didn't feel threatened by her, but I did see her. And since I slept here, I can't tell you exactly how many times I saw her, but I do recall that this was the room I saw her in most of the time. At the foot of the stairs here, the room behind me. Yeah. Well, I would read in bed. I read a lot. I didn't have a laptop then, so that's when I still read. She was typically standing here, and she had long hair, and it was pulled back, and I would, at this time, at this age, I thought she was old, but I guess right now she was probably 30, and she was long dress, and I always felt sad when I saw her. She felt sad to me. My first impulse was never to be afraid of her, but it was to feel sorry for her. She looked sad. She always seemed to have something holding in her hands. She seemed to be looking down quite a bit, and she always looked sad. It was, dark. There were times that it wasn't. It might have been in an afternoon. There was just a feeling of her around all the time in all the rooms. I didn't feel her outside, and at the carriage house, I'd go down there to see my grandfather sometimes. He would be down there working on something, and I never had that feeling anywhere outside the house. At the top of the stairs, I had a room here in the corner. At one time, I stayed here, and when I was staying in that room, but it was, now that I'm thinking, it was always near the stairs. It would be at the top of the stairs, on the landing, or at the foot of the stairs, or here in the corner. Those were, as far as I can remember at this point, those were the places I saw her the most. But it was a given she was here, and I discussed it with my grandmother, and so it wasn't like, I just knew she was here. So it wasn't shocking to me when I did see her. My grandmother knew. I did tell my grandmother, well, the first time I saw her, I said, "Grandma, there's a lady living in the house, you know that?" And she said, "Yeah, I know, but she won't hurt you."